Good morning, folks, and happy first full week of school to me. We have a pack to value, one that I actually do have in my value charts already, but I guess I never had the time to do a video for it. I probably threw a Reddit post or a Substack post together for it. That is the Ability Ascension 2. It is coming to the game later today, or I should say that by the time that this is posted, it will be in game. I do want to talk about it briefly and cover a few different scenarios because I know the way that I'm going to value it versus the way somebody in the mid game who has purchased a lot of Lightspeed bundles is going to value it is going to be completely different. So let's take a look and find out, should you buy the Ability Ascension 2? All right, so like I said before, it is not actually in the game yet. However, I do have it valued, so we can look at the value charts instead of having to rely on pointing to the in-game stuff. So we're going to skip ahead of my normal rambling and just kind of jump right in. Our Ability Ascension 2 is here. I believe we are already zoomed in pretty nicely. And we see that the majority of this pack is Zeta, Omega, and Omicron materials. Now, we're going to look at this first from the assumption of a player who needs all of that, right? And I know people that need all of that. You might not need Omegas. I don't need Omegas, but I talk to plenty of players. I advise plenty of players who have said to me, hey, I have 6 Zetas in the chamber, but I have no Omegas left because I am constantly applying these to characters. And those are players who are in the early to mid game or even mid to late ish game, right? So tier one, right? This is our free tier. Nothing to write home about. I don't even know if it's worth clicking on if you're not getting the rest of it. But you know what? For somebody like Vance who has 0 credits at all times, maybe that 100,000 credits is worth it. But moving on to that first paid tier, we're looking at a cost of 199 or 189 if you're on the web store. You're getting 1 Zeta material, 3 Omega materials, and you're looking at an overall value of $3.20, so a value increase of 70%. And that's pretty nice. If you are at like 19 of 20 Zetas and you just happen to need one before your GAC lock and it's on a character that's super important, maybe you just got a GL and you need one more Zeta to finish them off, maybe it's worth it to drop $1.99. It is one of those packs, though, where for most people, if you are not in that position, you're getting something and it doesn't really feel good because you're not using it. That said, at $1.99, I don't really expect to be seeing tons of materials, and I don't think there's a problem there. Moving on to our second paid tier for about $7, right? $4.99 added on top of the original cost. You are getting 20 Omegas, 3 Zetas, and a converted value of $16.27. Now, that is pretty nice. That is something that I think, um, you're not getting a ton of overall material, but those Omega material for players who need it can definitely be multiple upgrades. And we all need Zetas for a 150% value increase. Yeah, I think it's worth it, right? Again, we're talking about somebody that needs all of these items. Now, tier three is where it actually does get interesting because at tier three, we're increasing the cost by $9.99. We're jumping to 30 Omegas and 10 Zetas, but we are actually dropping in value, right? So we're seeing a $32 total value from the pack, which is only a 100% increase in value. That is that's really interesting to me, right? To see something like that where we're not we don't normally see that in packs where we're seeing a drop in our increase in value. It's still worth it. I definitely still think that if you are in a position to need all of these things, that you'll definitely want it. 100% increase is nothing well, it is something to write home about. It's nothing to scoff about. If you need Zetas, I would do it, right? Cost is not even that high either. At the final tier, we're looking at 50 omegas, 30 zetas, and 22 omicron mats for a total cost of $35 and a converted value of $135. Now, that's a value increase of 287%, or roughly 300%. I do want to put this in perspective, though. I have said this multiple times. When we talk about omicrons, I understand that this value is based off of a pack that is regularly around. CG has signaled in the weekly store that they are willing to sell them for 300 crystals per material, though not regularly. And we've only seen it twice on the weeklies where things are generally discounted. But just to show you what that would look like if we dropped that value down to 300 crystals per Omicron, you are still seeing a 220% increase in value, right? That is very, very, very solid. Now, the point that we want to think about here is, what about me? What about a 12 million, a 13 million, a 14 million player who just does not need omegas anymore? So we're going to zero out that omega cost here. We're going to say it is a zero, and we can see that our bottom level has a negative value. Our second level now has a negative value. Our third tier now has a negative value, right? So if you do not need omegas at all, you may not find too much interest in these packs until you get to that top tier. With Omicrons valued as normal, we are seeing still a 200% increase in value. And if we were to drop that down as well, we are still seeing a 132% increase in value. I will say that if you are in this position, you may not value zetas the same way somebody in the mid game values those zetas. So I look at this $30 for me, this $35 for me, and I go, it's not worth it. I would rather, buy the episode pass, and I seem to get enough Omicrons from the episode pass and from normal farming where I do not feel like there are any Omicrons that are going to significantly elevate my gameplay. But if you are in a significant Zeta crunch, if you are a younger account that is still catching up on Omicrons, I can definitely see that there is still some very solid value at this bottom level. Again, though, these three, if omegas are not your cup of tea, probably not worth getting at all. And that's something that I see, like if we were to bring this back just a little bit to our old values and we look at this tier three, this is, I don't know, it seems like an interesting anomaly in the pack that that CG doesn't generally make. But with that said, it is always up to you. My recommendation is late gamers pass on this, mid gamers eat it up, buy it, do whatever you need to do, especially considering, and I know I don't bring this up in my valuations a lot, I value Zetas at 228 crystals per Zeta, which is the daily deal top value for those Zetas. The majority of players and the value that I see people toss around is 250 crystals per Zeta, which is a little bit more of a reliable number, which means if you are using that number, the value of this pack does increase significantly. I'm not so sure about that. Why is this? J9, J9. My goodness, 250. There we go. Significantly, not necessarily worth it. Just something to consider. With that said, I guess have a great rest of your day. And I don't have a catchphrase. I need a catchphrase. Somebody come up with a catchphrase for me. It feels weird to end a video without one. Peace out doesn't do me justice, but I guess for now that'll do. Peace out.